Hello there, people of the internet. How is everybody doing today? I'm doing alright, thanks for asking. So, you guys being in the gun community, if you're watching this, you're probably in the gun community. I don't know, I've had some people who are not in the gun community come across my channel and check out some of my stuff. So hey, if you're just swinging by, welcome to the party. I appreciate you stopping in. But whenever I make my videos, I'm out here and I'll tell a story, or I'll talk about the obscurity or something, or the mechanical nature of something, or the history of something, or I'll talk about my opinion on something. And well, I'll make a video doing something involving something about a firearm, and there's some people out there who would come to the conclusion that what I'm saying is just like general common sense, and that the video is completely useless. And then there's other people out there who are like completely mind blown by the information being presented because they haven't been around guns their entire life, and there's some stuff that they simply do not know. So whenever I make my videos, a lot of the people that I'm talking to, I'm basically just preaching to the choir. But then a lot of people, they're like, wow, I had no idea that was even possible. Like, for example, one of the videos I made where I talk about single loading the M1 Garand, some people think that's the coolest thing in the world. The types of people who don't know what the chamber of a firearm is, and they think that as soon as you rack a magazine into a handgun or something like that, it's ready to go because they don't understand how a chamber works. People like that tend to really find things like that fascinating, whereas somebody who's in the gun community, I've had a ton of people tell me that's useless information because anybody would already know that. And I'm like, man, you just automatically assume that everybody knows the exact same thing that you do. But anyway, that's a rant in itself. Whenever I get people that come through and they say, hey, the information on this video is completely useless because it's some one-off story that's not going to happen to me or my situation, or it's some obscure bit of information about a rifle that doesn't exist anymore from a country that doesn't exist anymore, or it's something that they don't need, right? So I'll make a video talking about something, and then they'll be like, well, worthless information because I cannot utilize that for my own personal gain. And in some cases, I could see that. I definitely try to stay away from worthless information myself. That's one of the main reasons why I stay away from things like TikTok and whatnot. And I'm definitely more entertained and infatuated by content, much like what I make here, where people talk about stories and experiences and whatnot, and just this new information that, you know, some people get, and information that is just preaching to the choir to other people. But this information that is provided may give some new insight to people, or may give some sort of general understanding to people, or like I said, maybe it'll do absolutely nothing for someone and they'll just decide to themselves, hey, this was a complete waste of my time. Like, for example, oh, I just got a big pile of guns right here. My Yugo 2447, if I take this out and I make, you know, another video on the 8mm Mauser rifle and its capabilities, and I talk about the Turkish ammo, and I'll say it's hot, and then somebody will go down below and say, it's not hot, it's exactly how it's intended to be, and, you know, yada, yada, yada. If that is the case, then, well, you know what? Never mind. I will let you guys debate that one down below. I'm not going to get into that argument. Anyway, I got some Turkish ammunition here, and this is 155 grain projectiles traveling at about 3,000 feet per second. However, that being said, I have had some early World War II stuff, which travels at about 3,200 feet per second. This is a mix of 1941 and 1934 production that I have loaded into this thing right now, so who knows what's going to happen. That one didn't feel too bad. Get out of there, you. Where's my ejector at? That's supposed to be ejecting. Oh, that one felt much worse. Okay, so yeah, I'm willing to bet that was the early 30s and this was the early World War II stuff, because that was significantly more recoil. But if I come out here talking about, you know, another 8mm Mauser thing, then I say something that, you know, these people already know. Like, if you're in the gun community, then you probably already know the 98 action is a cock-on open action, and something like the 93 action is a cock-on close action. I have me a 93 Turkish Mauser here, also with some Turkish ammunition. Let's send a round of this downrange, because why the hell not? Ah, that was cool. But whenever I talk about things like that are just common knowledge and common understanding for a vast majority of people in the gun community, they'll say, hey, stop wasting my time. And I'm like, all right, well, if you know it and you think that this is a waste of time, then, hats off to you, go off and do something else. But guess what? It's not a waste of time for me, because my God, I'm having fun. And I'm making content that I myself like watching. I'll go back and I'll watch my content literally just because it's the kind of content that I enjoy. And there's a lot of other people out there who enjoy watching what I do simply because they enjoy watching what I do. I mean, I could come out here and do absolutely nothing and just like start talking about stuff, and I'm willing to bet that some people would probably watch that. But guess what? What I do like doing is I like coming out and shooting guns. I got me a Ruger Mini 14 here with a couple of rounds of 223 inside of it. Let's send some lead down range. Oh, that poor steel target. But if I talk about this and its capabilities and compare it to something like an AR platform and the pros and cons between each of the platforms, then you'll have some people go through and they'll say, I'm not interested in the Mini 14, so you're wasting my time. Or if I don't know, maybe something that is a little less mainstream. I have me a Oviedo Mauser right here, and I have some, what's the word I'm looking for? Undercharged hunting ammunition. This right here is a 150 grain projectile that's going to be traveling at around 2,400 feet per second. This rifle was rechambered for 7.62 SETME, but it handles 7.62 NATO fine. I fired a ton of 7.62 NATO through this thing, but 7.62 NATO ammunition is just a little bit too hefty for the types of game I'm going for. So this one is slightly undercharged, and as a result, the recoil is actually quite nice. But she still has a good amount of power behind her. But I'll have some people go into the comments below and they'll say, well, duh, it's undercharged round. It's a round with less power, so it's going to have less recoil. And to people that are in the gun community, yeah, that's just common sense and that's common knowledge. Or if I'll break out a 12 gauge and I've got like some double-aught 2 3/4 buckshot in this thing, I'm like, hey, let's go out and shoot the steel with this and talk about some pros and cons of double-aught buck. I'll have people that go into the comments and say, I already know that, or everybody knows that, or something like that. And they'll say, hey, you just wasted my time with that right there. And I'm like, guys, the content that you're consuming doesn't have to be 100% just practical, constant, useful information. It can be entertaining too. Like a lot of the gun channels that I watch, like for example, Demolition Ranch. There's a lot of people that love watching his stuff, but the stuff he gives isn't valuable. It used to be valuable. It's no longer valuable. And whenever I say that with the utmost love, because he's definitely basing his stuff more around entertainment. And I love watching Demo Ranch, but I don't need to know how much nacho cheese it takes to stop a 50 BMG. Come on, guys. Maybe somebody in Mexico might need to know that. I know there's a lot of nacho cheese in Mexico. Mexico's fun. I had to go back to Mexico. But that right there is an example of useless information that's presented just because it's fun. And I feel like a lot of what I do out here is presented just because it's fun. I like talking about stories of like the old NRA FUDs who try to go like range safety officer on someone because they don't have a bolt action rifle. Or like, for example, I was down at my, well, not down at my local gun store. This was a place over in Central Florida, I think that's where it was. Anyway, that doesn't matter. Over in Central Florida, I was at a public gun range, and I had, I don't know, I think I had a shotgun. That's also irrelevant information. I know that there was somebody there who had an AR platform, like a younger guy like me. Well, about my age now. I was much younger whenever I was at that gun range. That was before I had this gun range. But whenever I was down there, somebody had an AR platform, and the range safety officer, you know, who was standing up there, he had his NRA hat on and his bright blue, I think it was blue, might have been red, polo shirt that had NRA, what would you call them, NRA patches all along his sleeves and whatnot, and he had a big old shooter's vest on, and he had the khaki cargo shorts, and he was an elderly gentleman, and he was very overly aggressive and overly hostile to absolutely everything. And he kept like dissing this guy for having an AR platform. He was like, back in my day, we used to use real guns, not those toys that people use nowadays. And if you shoot that thing too fast, I'm going to kick you off the range. And like every time he would shoot, like it was one of those 1 round a second kind of thing, to the point where this NRA range safety officer, you could see him like counting the second out in his head. And my God, that was just awful. So what did this guy do? He was like, all right, this guy seems to think that the AR platform is not only a toy and completely ineffective, but also completely overpowered because it shoots too fast. I don't get the logic either. So what did this guy do? This guy did something hilarious. He walked back to his car and he came back with a number 4 Mark 1. I think you see where this is going. But he comes back with a number 4 Mark 1, and the range safety officer just kind of looks at him, and he smiles and he nods and he's like, all right, now you're talking. Now this guy's got an appropriate rifle. And this dude mag dumps those 10 rounds through that bolt action Enfield rifle in like 4 seconds. He does a full-on mad minute down the range, way faster than he was shooting that AR platform. And the range safety officer looked like he looked like he had to go change his pants. My God, that was a freaking hilarious scene. Of course, he got kicked off of the range. Like the guy was like, ah! It looked like he was being hit by some sort of shockwave. It was incredible. But see, if I tell that story on the YouTube channel, I'll have people that, you know, think, hey man, that's freaking hilarious. I love hearing things like that. And then I'll have people who say, man, don't waste my time with that garbage nonsense. I am here to figure out XYZ topic, or to see you shoot something. Stop talking and send some lead downrange, because all I'm interested in is the fundamental mechanics of the firearm. And to that extent, well, people who are like that and think that I talk too much in my videos, I'm going to say, hey, guess what? 8mm Mausers, there's a billion videos on YouTube of people shooting those. So it's my YouTube channel. I'm going to talk on my YouTube channel and share my stories and do the things that I do. And if you're here just to watch me shoot stuff, then hey, guess what? We do that too. But that doesn't mean I'm going to stand here silently and just send lead downrange. I mean, there are people out there, like the people who request that I shut up and just show off the gun and the ammo and the video and whatnot, and don't talk throughout it because they don't want to hear me talk. Those types of people are also the same type of people to steer away from videos that actually do that. If you have somebody where there's like no speech and whatnot, and it's just somebody bang, 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 and they'll have like little captions down below explaining what something is, like, this is my Gewehr 88, and it was built, you know, for World War I, and it takes a different diameter bullet than your normal 8mm Mauser rifle and whatnot, and just a dramatic amount of people just immediately click off of those because they don't want to go through the effort of reading something, and they don't want to go through the effort of not having something directly explained to them. So man, there's literally no pleasing everybody on the internet. So I'm going to say my channel, I'll talk, I'll have fun, I'll tell my stories, I will do what I want. If you don't want to be here, you know, don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out. That being said, I do have fun here, and I know a lot of other people have fun, so even if the information I'm giving is completely useless, guess what? It was sure a hell of a good time making that useless information to put up on the internet so people can watch and enjoy it. And if you're not enjoying it and you don't like my stuff, then I'm not insulted by that at all, because I do like my stuff, and I like what I create, and I like creating it. That being said, thanks for watching, folks. I appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Description below has a link to all sorts of stuff. Go and go check that out. I am going to go charge this camera and try and get one more video in because the sun is setting and my time is limited. I will see you guys on the next episode. Since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. Poor man's Garen. It's a shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.